We all dream of getting a perfect job, one that pays well and has a great environment. But is it hard to find? This is my opinion of most software engineering jobs. The first thing is that your satisfaction will still be related to your manager. Sometimes I see people look at software engineering like it's a unicorn. The truth is, most people leave jobs because of their manager, whether that be software engineering or not. You can have a lower salary, not the best benefits, but if you have a great manager, you'll tend to want to stay at that company a lot longer just because it's a positive environment. Versus if you have a higher salary, great benefits, but your management and your upper management are not easy to work with, you will definitely try to leave that company, even if you have to take a pay cut. Trust me, because I've had both situations. In the environment that I enjoyed more, didn't have the best salary and it didn't have the best benefits. But my manager was super cool and upper management weren't a headache either. So I stayed there for a lot longer. Outside of your manager, then you have the impact of upper management. Upper management can make or break your enjoyment also. A lot of upper management is pretty hands-off as far as what you'll be doing from day to day working on your projects. But depending on the structure of the company, this same group of upper management can still be the ones that are handing down project timelines and roadmap. Not give you much time to get projects done because they see what they want and they just want to get it done. But since they're not connected to you on a day-to-day basis, they have no idea how long or how much work it will take to get these projects done. Which brings me to my second point. Your project manager is probably the most important person in your development team. A good project manager serves as a buffer between the development team and upper management or the manager. This person is responsible for keeping project timeline realistic, keeping roadmaps realistic, and for keeping the expectations of upper management realistic. If you end up with a bad project manager that doesn't like to push back on people, doesn't like to tell stakeholders no, or this will have to wait, unfortunately you may have a rough time. Since the project manager is the only one that has an idea of how much work goes into these projects, and they're probably the main one that speaks to the business, they're the only avenue that you have to keep things in order and not to put too much pressure on you and your team. But you may have a smaller department or a smaller team to where you may not have a specified project manager. But whoever's in this position, whether it's a team lead or a dev lead, make sure they have the qualities of keeping that balance between the development team and stakeholders. The next thing is, some people in your company may see developers as just order takers. When we think about getting into this field and we get our first job, I mean, we're very proud of ourselves because it's not easy to do this. So we kind of put ourselves on a pedestal. But when it comes to working within a company, a lot of times you will find that many people don't put the developers on that same type of pedestal. They may just see the development team as a means to an end. I remember a couple of jobs to where I felt like the development team just had no respect. We would get requirements for a project, get the project done ahead of time, not many bugs, not many issues in production, and barely get a thank you when it's done. Or getting an email about an emergency bug fix and you end up having to work late to get it fixed and get it done, and the next day you don't hear anything from anybody. Not a good job, not a thank you for working late at night, nothing. If anything, they may just submit another bug fix and expect you to knock that out in the same amount of time as you did the last one. So you'll see this a good bit depending on the size of the company and the company culture. This isn't like this in every company. Some companies adore the development team and they treat you like royalty. So it really just depends on the company. So if you do see this at first, it may frustrate you, it may disappoint you, but eventually you'll learn how to maneuver through these type of people and through these type of organizations. So don't take it personally. Just remember why you're doing what you're doing. You're trying to learn, get experience, so you can keep moving up in your career. Next thing will be pay. Now, I won't pretend like salaries in software are low because that's not the case, but I have been noticing some different trends recently in the past year or two, and that's a lot of companies aren't too willing to give bigger salaries like they were before. They may try to entice you in other ways, and this can be through benefits, different perks, in-office perks, and sign-on bonuses. So for an example, say you applied to a position and they offered you $60,000, but you wanted 70. What they may say is, we can't do 70, although most times they can. They'll say, we can't do 70, but we'll do 60 and a 10,000 sign-on bonus. So in your mind, you're thinking, wow, I got to my 70. 60 plus 10 is 70. But sign-on bonuses can be a little tricky. First, the sign-on bonus is taxed a lot. So if they tell you it'll be 10,000, it won't be really close to 10,000 based off of the taxes alone. And that's the first thing. The second thing is, most sign-on bonuses have some type of stipulation, and this can be determined by how many months you have to spend at the company before you receive the entire bonus. For example, if I have a bonus of 10,000 and they have a stipulation that says after 6 months they give me half, and after a year they give me the other half, I have to make sure I stay at that company for that year, or I may have to pay that money back. And I know you're thinking like, why would I have to pay the money back? Well, this is how some sign-on bonuses work. What they'll do is they'll give you the bonus up front, but if you don't complete the amount of time that they have, which most times comes up to a year, on your last paycheck, you'll end up paying that money back. So if you do get some kind of offer with the sign-on bonus, make sure you understand the stipulations and the conditions behind the sign-on bonus. If they have anything about any type of time span that you have to be there, try your best to get that removed, or just understand it enough to be comfortable with it. So just keep these things in mind when you think about pay, because the current market conditions are a little bit different than they were maybe a couple years ago. The next thing is in-office perks. If you are expected to go into an office regularly, you have to be careful of in-office perks. Now, some companies really do just enjoy treating their employees and making sure their employees enjoying themselves and have a comfortable environment. So they may have things like free lunch, a game room, a lounge kind of area, just kind of depends on the type of office that you're in. But some of these companies use these same perks to keep you at the office for longer. Obviously, the longer that you're at the office, the more tendency you have to do more work. One of my favorite jobs had these same type of things. Game room, food all the time, snacks all the time. And I realized that I was starting to stay at the office longer, even though I could do the same amount of work at home in almost half the time. Now, if you're just getting out of school or you don't have a lot of responsibilities, then this type of environment may actually be really cool to be in. But if you don't have a lot of extra time, you have to be careful of these perks, because you'll find yourself at the office longer than what you really need to be there, which is why I prefer to work remotely now. I can stay focused, get my work done, and move on with my day. Another thing that I mentioned is your coworkers. Your coworkers will be your biggest friends or your biggest enemies, but quiet enemies. When it comes to developing on projects, you and your team are almost like an army. You guys have to be on the same page, and it's a lot better if you actually get along with each other. Now, you don't have to be friends, but if you all get along, this will make everything a whole lot easier. But if there's any kind of quiet tension between a team, which happens a lot, then you'll have some problems. Like I've seen before where you have some teammates that are maybe jealous of somebody else because they're a senior, even though they may feel like this person shouldn't be a senior, or I'm not a senior, I do more work than this person. Like those type of issues come up a lot. And then you have teammates that don't communicate or they don't speak up a lot. For example, I worked in a team to where I knew all the developers were not happy with their job. But anytime we would have a team meeting with manager and upper management, no one would ever say anything. No one would ever make it known of the things that they weren't happy with, because many people love to be politically correct. No one likes to be on the bad side of anybody else. When you have a company where everybody wants to be politically correct, you will never have real communication there, because everybody's on their best behavior. So if you find a team where everybody's honest and open with each other, you'll be a lot better off. So that's what I have for you today. Being in this field can be very exciting, and a lot of times it can have this kind of lure around it about it being just the perfect job and the perfect environment. But a lot of times it's a job just like every other job, to where you may have the same issues that you've experienced before. But either way, if you do run into these situations, just know how to manage it, how to manage your expectations, so that way you can keep learning and moving up until you find the company and the job that's best for you.